Hey everyone, it's Movie Lover 120 here, and I'm here with a brand new movie review. And this is for a movie that came out today. And yes, it's a horror film, a horror sequel. And of course, one that was actually supposed to come out last year, but got delayed because of the COVID-19 pandemic. But now, the wait is finally over, and it's now finally released. A sequel I've been long waiting to see since I saw the teaser back in January 2020. And this movie is for none other than A Quiet Place Part 2. So, now, when they first announced there was going to be a sequel to a... Now, before I get started on this review, I must say that I really love the first Quiet Place, one of the greatest horror films of the 2010s, one of the best films of 2018. I would rate that movie a 9 out of 10. So, and when I heard there was going to be a sequel, I had some kind of iffy thoughts because Quiet Place was kind of just supposed to be one movie, really. It wasn't really trying to set up a sequel, but I was fine with it. I kind of liked the direction they were planning to take. But anyway, what is this film about? Well, following the events at home at the end of the first one, the Abbott family now face the terrors of the outside world. Forced to venture into the unknown, they realize the creatures that hunt by sound are not the only threats lurking beyond the sandpath. It's pretty much the plot. It kind of picks up right where the first one left off, in a way. Yeah. So, this movie was originally supposed to come out on March 18th, 2020, last year. But then, and I was already reaching a week for this movie to come out. I was that close last year. 1 week excuse me. 1 week close. And then you all can guess what happened. Yep, COVID happened. And I just read that the movie was delayed, as were several other films that I were planning to see. While some of those delayed movies have already been released, some I still have yet to see, but won't take that long to see actually. But this movie was one of them, and it was originally delayed to an unspecified date, then to September 2020, but then it got delayed to April 2021, then was going to come out September 2021. However, Paramount also came up with a streaming idea, and they moved it back down a few months early to May 28, 2021, today. So, I was really waiting, praying for this not to get delayed any further again, praying for it to finally, hopefully, keep a release date. And guess what? It kept a release date. And it finally got released today. Just finished watching the movie. And I gotta say, if I had to... Did I think it was better than the first one, or worse than the first one? I thought it was better. Way better than the first one. I think this is one of the best horror sequels in a long time, and this would have to be my favorite horror movie of 2021. And was it worth the COVID-19 delays? Oh yes, absolutely, whole way through, well worth the year-long delay. It was very, very worth it. I'm glad they did not release this during last year when it probably would have bombed. I'm glad they waited to release it when everything was a little more normal, like it currently is now. But anyway, yeah, I think this movie is better than the first one. It was definitely more intense than the first one. Now, the first one didn't lack scare level or was bad, but it was also a masterpiece, like I said, also pretty scary film. But to make a sequel, we all know what happens when you need to make a sequel to your film. You always gotta have some flashback scenes, just like this movie did. Unlike most sequels that seem to fail back flashback scenes, I mean. Sorry guys. Kind of a little mixed up wording there. This one did not fail it. Like the movie, this is all I'm gonna spoil. The movie starts off with day one when the creatures had formed. We see Lee going in to a store, buying vegetables, and going to watch. The trailer makes it look like he's kind of stocking up for survival from the invasion, Kind of like how last year when COVID began, people were stocking up on their vegetables, but however, that it actually was stocking up vegetables and then going to watch his son's baseball game. The invasion hadn't even started yet. Eventually, during the middle of his son's baseball game, then the invasion starts, and we pretty much know where it goes from there. That's all I'm gonna. This is probably the only part I'm really gonna spoil. Like I said several times, first one is also good. This one got me several times with jump scares, and I especially love the acting from new cast member Cillian Murphy. Outstanding as always. First time I probably saw Cillian Murphy in a different role, aka the Scarecrow from Batman Begins and 20 Days Later. I thought he was very phenomenal in this film. And once again, like the first film, Emily Blunt's acting was so true. I could literally feel the fear on her face throughout most of her scenes. It was really good and well delivered. Now, of course, surprisingly, for a sequel I was very nervous about, since first one was, like I said, supposed to be a standalone movie, like most horror films are, and sequels are just kind of made for quick bucks. This was beyond great. Flawless acting, suspension was through the roof, almost everything lined up with the first one. I think as a great big fan of this film, my favorite parts of these films are how much they put into the little details. Sure, this movie still did have a few flaws that want to stick out if you were just want to admire every little thing. I'm definitely planning and will I watch this one if the theaters open in my area? Oh yes, I definitely will. I think they're supposed to open in possibly 3 weeks in my area, I do hope, so. And if that does happen, I'm definitely going to watch this again. It's kind of rare we get any sequel that involves upon their predecessor or improves on their predecessor, especially horror sequels, and leave us craving more. This is actually one of them. Perfect, because it wasn't just horror, it had perfect amount of drama, suspenseful moments, and action, and I think at this rate, John Krasinski has created such a fantastic monster world, and I can't really see anyone else directing these films. Now to the things I like. Well, of course, who doesn't like John Krasinski and Emily Blunt together? They both look fantastic in this film, despite John Krasinski's character, John Krasinski's character Lee, who died in the first movie. We see him again for a few scenes that feature Day 1 of the alien invasion, and especially as pretty well built up, considering that he and Emily admitted they didn't even want to do a sequel, and apparently John was Jedi mind-tricked into doing it. Other talented cast members besides Cillian Murphy also include Digimon Honson, from Guardians of the Galaxy. I think his name is Kree from Guardians of the Galaxy. Was also pretty phenomenal in this. He kind of only appears near around the very end of the movie, but for that part he was very good, and I thought he was really good as well. And of course, let's not forget Millicent Simmonds, who plays Regan Abbott in these films, is actually deaf in real life, and this is actually her third film after the first one in Wonderstruck. Very good young actress, and then of course No Jupe once again plays her brother, and together they provide hope the Owls so desperately need in the story. There is also so much suspense and tension, with plenty of action that will keep anybody on the edge of their seat. The movie has all the jumps and scares you hope it would, and the opening sequence was riveting. That was kind of one of my big problems with the first film. The first film, I kind of wanted to see how it all started, how the whole creature invasion with the creature started, but because it kind of just jumped into how the world was already destroyed in the first one. However, this one granted that wish true. And I really loved how this one really showed how it all started. Perfect way to start a sequel. They didn't just magically just jump straight into where the first one left off right away. We actually see how it all started. And I really loved that. Another thing, and want to know something else cool? This movie didn't rely on just comedy every few seconds, it didn't try to constantly be funny like It Chapter 2 did. Because that was also kind of my worries when I saw the trailer, because this was March 2020, its original release date, was a few months after a sequel I got way too much hype for, which was It Chapter 2, which I did see in theaters when it came out back in September 2019, thought it was really disappointing because of those comedy flaws it had. So I was really praying for this not to go the same route. I was really kind of also, that part also made me worried for this movie. However, thankfully they don't do that. They still be serious when they need to be, and it's perfect that way. The aliens are also very intriguing, but the characters are truly the center and heart of the film. You get to see aliens up close and personal, and often you have to learn why they're so sensitive to sound. And speaking of sound, the sound effects are very impressive in this. There are several camera shots that remind me of the incredible destruction scene in Tom Cruise's War of the Worlds, and we see, and it's a very good some good throwbacks to the first one as well. Like for example, when we see Lee in the opening scene grabbing a few items at this local grocery store as he walked by some shelves, we see that toy rocket ship that killed their original third child before their newborn at the beginning of the first one. So that was a pretty good throwback to the beginning of the first film. Really loved they included that. And I really love seeing the small town community in the first scene. Mostly, a lot of people seem to have this romantic notion of living in such a town where everyone knows and trusts each other. And especially since this movie. Hold on a second. It's just kind of weird because everyone out in the real world seems to be super rude and impatient. And I really thought this pandemic would have made us realize what's important in life, which it made me realize what was important in life. And, yeah, because so. But yeah. Well, all in all, if I had to say my recommendation for this movie, if you loved the first one, go see this, or if the theaters are open in your area, or hell, even go stream it any way you can, because it is a worthy sequel. It is better than the first one. Basically, the best horror movie of 2021, the third best movie of 2021, and here's how I would definitely rank it. I am going to give A Quiet Place 2 a 10 out of 10. And that's it for my review of A Quiet Place Part 2. Technically, there's another film that came out this weekend. It came out today. The weekend's just begun. And I think you can guess what it is. Well, yeah, it's Cruella, of course, so. There's gonna be another 2021 movie review coming this weekend. It's gonna be pretty hectic. 2 new blockbusters in 1 weekend. Crazy. But anyway, that'll be our first review. Thank y'all for watching. And if you like this and want to see more, and don't forget to like and subscribe to Movie Lover 120.